Welcome to Just Minding My Business Media. I hope you're having an amazing day. I am so happy to bring to you today Bryan Phelps, who is the founder and CEO of Big Leap, a digital marketing agency that helps businesses build scalable growth systems through a strategic blend of brand and performance. What began as a self taught journey in SEO back in 2005 has evolved into a leadership role guiding national brands through today's shifting marketing landscape. Welcome, Bryan. Glad to have you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ida. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. And the last part of this shifting marketing landscape is exactly the best way to describe it because things feel like they're changing at the speed of light.
Yeah.
And, I know your background is in SEO, and already I'm noticing when you go to Google and you do a search, it comes up with AI stuff first. So, one of the questions I have is how is that changing the SEO landscape?
Yeah, it's changing quite a bit. So like you said, in Google, you'll see the AI results at the top. Sometimes people go to ChatGPT maybe and search for those things too. So how people are discovering products and brands is changing quite a bit. So what used to be clicks to your website on the search results is sometimes those are going away and people are maybe finding you in the AI overviews on Google, but sometimes they don't. So it's impacting businesses traffic in a lot of ways.
Absolutely, because I was like really into the SEO scene
Mm.
for my website. Now I'm at a place, what do I do?
Yeah, so we're seeing with there's lots of different kinds of websites, I guess, and how people want traffic to their site. So a lot of our clients are selling some kind of product or service. And so what we've actually seen is that they've been able to at least maintain or even grow sales and revenue, but that educational content that they used to get rewarded for by creating, answering questions, there's less traffic coming in, and so we kind of brands have to ask themselves a little bit now is, would I create this content even if I don't get traffic for it because maybe it's helping on my social content or people that come directly to my website, and then if it shows up in those AI searches, I mean it's kind of like branding in a perspective where I
Hmm.
see, a brand there. I may not click, but it's one of those touch points that we're always trying to get. So there's value in it, but it's definitely more difficult to measure than it used to be.
Absolutely. So, value of integrating human-centric AI strategies to yield sustainable results. So, I guess that's where we are now.
Yeah. We're big proponents of keeping those humans involved. So we love AI, and we've definitely seen efficiencies and improvements. But I think it's been a couple of years now. It's crazy. It's gone so fast in some ways, but kind of feel like there was kind of this rush and surge to just produce content and do everything with AI. And I think it's interesting and it's helpful, but I think a lot of people are coming to this realization that it's fast, but that doesn't always mean it's the best way to do it. And so we're working for ourselves and with our clients to how do we blend that? How do we bring in their real experience, their personality, how they view their industry and world, and how do we, maybe use AI to help write that faster, but make sure we don't lose that uniqueness that the client brings.
Yes, and that's important because a lot of times I know when I'm doing, like maybe want to create a promotion and I'll type what I want in AI and it's not my voice.
Mhm.
So I have to tweak it to make it mine.
Yeah, and there's ways, and we do this, where we can help kind of train the LLM on, the brand guidelines or, even the personality voice, and it again will help. But there's just this element of human experience that I think people really want. They love, we go to Google search and sometimes we see the answer, but we want to keep clicking. We want to hear it from somebody. So Reddit, even for example, is growing in popularity because it's not just, this computer collection of answers, but they're seeing real people's answers to a question. And so I think we'll continue to see that, which I'm really encouraged by. I think that's an important part of humanity and where we're going as a people.
Yes, I have to agree 100 because that human experience is critical for me. If I hate working with companies that want to resolve issues by email
Yeah.
or chat. Really? No,
Yeah.
I can't do it that way. So that's it's very frustrating. And to
So
me, it takes more time than is needed.
yeah, so I think maybe like an interesting to kind of wrap a couple of your questions there together. Like that example is really awesome. So something that I think AI will get better at is helping us, as they understand what you just said about you, when they recommend companies now to you, they will can maybe factor that in. So from a marketing perspective, it's really important that we continue producing content because that's how, the Google search and AI is going to understand the business better to be able to match it with what you're looking for. So the more information we're putting out there about us, about our companies, it's going to help us just find a better alignment, hopefully, with customers that really align with, how we do things, and maybe weed out the ones, that aren't a good fit.
Yes, absolutely. So, how a strong digital presence increases visibility and trust for companies? Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, it's we live in this, digital world have for a while, of course, a long time, and so having that presence and that personality, there's kind of a couple components we talk about from a marketing perspective, and I'll give credit to a guy that we work with. His name's Kobe Bush. He's a branding guy that's just brilliant in my opinion, and we're fortunate to have him at Big Leap. But he talks about that people notice different. So if you're shopping for something, like let's say you're looking for HR software for your business, there's lots of HR, software providers, but there's going to be some that stand out, right? They're doing something different, maybe how they talk about things, kind of that personality. So people notice different, they align to genuine. So they'll notice like, hey, there's something different about that. And that can go one of two ways, right? It's like I aligned to that because I like it, or it's like I don't like that. Maybe it's too different. So they align to genuine and then evangelize, incredible experiences. So in the HR software world, a great example, one of our past clients is Bamboo HR. They kind of came into the scene when HR software was pretty stuffy and there wasn't a lot of innovation happening, and they started doing things differently. So they looked different. They had this tone and voice and just this great approach to how they support HR people that people aligned with. And then
Mhm.
they just delivered on it and they did a great job. And so people continue to evangelize, their product ultimately. So trying to kind of keep your digital presence with that in mind will help, just be able to grow, grow traffic, grow followers, whatever, your goals are. It's kind of a good formula to thinking about how you want to approach your digital presence.
Yes, yes. And I think authenticity is, for me, is most important, because I like realness.
Yeah,
I just don't like fake.
I agree. And I think, that's where, I think we've seen improvements there with companies and who they, really how we can align with them. And again, I think that example you shared before of from a support perspective, you want to talk to someone on the phone. I mean, that's the kind of alignment hopefully that we can find. And there are people that are the opposite, right? They're like, I just want to live chat someone, I don't necessarily want to talk to someone on the phone. And they can of course align with a company that fits that mold too.
Yeah, I don't know a lot of people that like to do the live chat. That's like being on the phone and press this button and all of that. To me, that's the same thing.
Yeah, I'm with you.
And most people in my circles hate it, especially the ones that don't want to be doing a lot of typing.
So how do you feel about phone AI phone chatbot or like phone calls, AI phone
I
calls?
hate them. I hang right up. I was trying to order pizza the other day. I was traveling and I was trying to have it ready when I got to the exit.
Hmm.
And they put this AI thing on, and it was horrible.
Yeah.
It was totally horrible because it's not situational.
Hmm. Yeah, it handles the, perfect scenario, right? Someone, goes through the
Yeah.
perfect flow. But when you throw a little curveball in the machine, it kind of breaks down.
Yes. And the same thing with the phone AIs. It's the same exact thing when you call a company, and sometimes it breaks. And that's when it really gets ugly. When I did not understand that, and then you feel stupid hollering into a phone that there's nobody there.
Yeah. It's interesting. There's been a lot of change in the last 10, 20 years about phone systems, but yeah, I mean, it's an interesting, we don't have to deal with this fortunately, but this battle of, they want to save money, but at what cost, right? What kind of cost from a customer experience is that having? So I'd love to talk to someone that runs a huge call center and see how they weigh those two things.
Yeah, it's funny. Back in the day, I worked for a brokerage firm,
Mhm.
and the owner back then, that's when all of that started happening. And he refused to do it. He was like, I want people that call my business to speak to someone.
Mhm.
And he kept the operator. She transferred the call to the person. He kept all of that,
Yeah.
and I think, that's probably one of the reasons why the company became as big as it did become, because that personal human experience.
Yeah, that's awesome. I agree. It's yeah, there's a lot of cool tech advancements, but yeah, I don't know. There's definitely something to just like we've been talking about, the kind of human experience and
Yeah.
you can understand someone and empathize a little bit, hopefully on the support side a little bit and has such a big impact.
Yes, and I'm also noticing now the people that they use overseas, they're becoming a little bit more empathetic.
Mm,
They're kind of getting away from the script, because I in the beginning it was showing off a script, because I did IT support. So I had to talk to these people daily and be frustrated daily. But I'm noticing now that they're becoming more human, more listening to what the customer has to say, and showing a little bit of empathy. So I see things changing in that respect as well. So let's talk a little bit about PR, digital PR amplifies how it amplifies the portfolio company marketing position. Let's talk a little bit about that.
yeah, so with what we've been talking about with AI search, and I mean, even if you go back 5 years ago and talk about Google search traditionally, digital PR is a big component of that. When we look at SEO and AI SEO, there's kind of the technical side, right? Your website and your code, that's all got to be done right. There's content, of course, we've talked about. You got to have the right content and keywords and all that kind of thing is important. And kind of that third piece that really is like the separator, I'd say, from everyone else, because everyone could optimize their website pretty well. People could produce the same kind of content. But
Mhm.
the thing that makes the biggest difference is kind of that brand and popularity factor. And we think digital PR is a great way to, set yourself apart. So it's everything from in-person live events to being on podcasts to hosting webinars and all those things in between. And I love digital PR because it kind of works by itself. It's a great way to meet new people and to introduce people to a brand, but it's also should help your kind of overall marketing engine work a little better too.
Yes, yes, I like that digital PR too. I'm trying to get out to live networking events, but since the pandemic, it has been so difficult.
Yeah, it's changed a lot. It's funny though. I feel like even more not, I mean, it's post-pandemic, but with the AI world where you almost can't believe anything you see on a screen, right? Videos fake, audio
Yes.
fake. So I hear a lot more of this return to I want to meet up in person, come visit our office, events. And
Yeah.
it's this, yeah, maybe full circle thing, but people, start to crave the personal connection again.
Yes, yes, because I'm definitely there. Because, like you said, that's a lot of fake going on. AI is wonderful, but we got a lot of bad players,
Definitely.
unfortunately. So, how do people contact your company?
Yeah, so you can visit our website. It's Big Leap, Leap. com, and you can learn a lot. We have a great blog, talks about our services, things like that. I spend a lot of time on LinkedIn, so I have a newsletter there where I try to just share kind of all the stuff happening in the marketing and AI world that's sometimes can get technical, but I try to keep it a little bit more high level and informational. So it's really designed for people that maybe aren't marketers but need to follow along and kind of get the highlights. What do I need to know of what's changing? So my personal LinkedIn is up there. You can search for me there and follow the newsletter if you're interested.
Yes, I'll definitely subscribe,
Yeah.
definitely, and connect on LinkedIn because I'm always interested to stay in the know about what's happening in technology to better do what I do, yes, because we all need help. And
Mm.
unfortunately, the AI does take a lot off. It does do a lot for your company, things that you would normally be sitting there for hours working on, you no longer have to sit there for hours.
Yeah, that's what the part I'm excited about is, how can we just be able to focus on what we're good at and not, yeah, spend those hours just doing the manual stuff or trying to figure out the spreadsheet formula or whatever, and whatever it
Yes,
is that day.
yes, yes, indeed. So when a business comes to you to work with you, talk about the services that you provide for companies.
Yeah. So first of all, yeah, someone comes to talk to us, we start by trying to understand just, what are your goals for the company? And so we really align around that of not just, what does SEO do and, is it a fit, but how does it really just support what you're trying to do, yeah, for your company goals. But yeah, so we go through kind of a consultation type process that way, and we talk about really where our focus is everything from your kind of messaging and your brand, not necessarily like the design and colors, but like who are you and who's your ideal audience? How do we communicate with them? We can help put together kind of a plan to identify those people, figure out where they spend on time online, what drives them to make a purchasing decision. And then we use things like SEO and content and paid ads on Google and Meta to get your message in front of them and ultimately drive them to not just convert, but keep going, right? How do we help them adopt your product and evangelize it after the fact? And that kind of starts the process over again. And it kind of is this flywheel. HubSpot coined that term, I think, to keep the business growing. It's this little machine that keeps pumping.
Yes, yes, because once a consumer buys from you, that's important, but it's also important to keep them and have them talking about you in such a way that other people want to buy from you.
Yeah, and a lot of people, don't think about that, right? You think about a lot of people measure like, oh, how much does it cost for us to acquire a customer? And obviously that's great to do. But when one customer yields one more customer, two more customers, it makes that whole formula, the whole customer acquisition cost just much, much more impressive and much more realistic. So a lot of companies are having a hard time getting the numbers to pencil with how expensive it is to do marketing and Google ads. But when a new customer generates more for you, it makes it all work a lot more smoothly.
Yes, because the market is full, you know, incredibly full.
Yeah, that's kind of a theory that, only about 5% of your audience is in market. So they're actively shopping and 95% isn't. And so again, that's how one way we look at it to help our clients is, we want to capture that 5% that's actively shopping. But how do we start getting, in the minds of the other 95%? So when they do start to shop, you're already, you're going to be remembered for an option, not just discovered at the finish line. So there's
Yes.
a study that says about 50% of people in shopping mode already have a favorite before they start. And so we want our clients to be the favorite and be able to ultimately, land that customer.
And that's so true because we see commercials on TV, for example, over and over and over and over and over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And when the opportunity presents itself to buy, they the first people to come up.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big example, and you don't have to have $1 million budget to do this, but I think the car industry is a good example. I mean, you see car ads all the time, and
Yes.
they don't even always talk about the features and the sales and promotions. I mean, they do sometimes, but they are constantly, in front of you. And again, you go to that alignment side, they start to align with, maybe who they represent in their ads. Does that align with me and my situation? Or, how does all that work? And so they're starting that process early. And so when it does come time to buy a car, you probably already have a favorite in mind.
Yes, absolutely. So that takes me to the repetition part.
Mm.
Do you help your clients determine how often they need to shout it out, so to speak?
Yeah, I wish we had a magic formula to figure out the exact number. There's some
I
stuff
know.
that have been done. But our goal we talk about is, if obviously, most people have seen this marketing funnel, we kind of flip it and it's a bow tie. There's a bow tie model if you look into that. And so our goal is that all those different stages, we want to be in front of those clients. And every company is different. You buy a car, some people buy a car every 10 years. So there's going to be a lot of touch points. Some things obviously happen faster, but we try to align, through that funnel, our messaging as well. So at the top of the funnel, again, if you're not in shopping mode, we're maybe more aligning to who you are as a person and your values and things like that. As you get down the funnel and you're more in shopping mode, the messaging is going to change. It's going to be more about features of the product or sales and promotions. And so we don't have a magic number, unfortunately, but we just try to align our clients' messaging with where their buyers are at the right time. Right message, right time.
Yes, yes. And how do you go about kind of knowing where they are? Because that's also, for most companies, a mystery.
Yeah, it's a great question. So we use the different tools and channels to target people, yeah, at different times. So for example, I'll use HR software since I started there. Bamboo HR, probably I don't know this for a fact, but they know their audience, right? It's going to be a lot of HR professionals, and so they may run ads that to that audience regardless of where they are in the funnel. But when someone starts that search, right? They type in HR software, best HR software, or in AI, this is my business, who's the best product. That's when you kind of start to know where they are ultimately in that funnel. So we try to match, kind of target the right channels at the right time that tells us where they are in the funnel.
Yeah, because I know, like with TV, for example, during the day, it's a bunch of medication. Well, actually, all day, but more so, it's the funeral stuff
Yeah.
in the middle of the day and the medication. So they're more or less targeting seniors, retirees,
Yeah.
people like that are in front of the TV pretty much all day. So does your company kind of have that same type of, not same type, but think on the same lines as that in terms of times and things
Yeah, so
like
as we understand the audience, that one of our next steps is to understand, okay, where do they spend time online, or it could be even TV. There's, digital TV ads that we can run. And so if we understand, yeah, the audience and then where they spend time online, we're going to align our advertising or whatever it may be at that right place, at the right time. So I mean, a great example. I like to golf, so I have the Golf Channel running sometimes, and I'll see the ads, and some of them are relevant, some of them aren't to me. But you can kind of see that, like you just described, of like how the targeting makes sense for the general broad demographic. So we
that.
like to try to go a little layer deeper often, of a little bit more targeted. So sometimes, for example, things like LinkedIn or Facebook groups, we can target people that are in certain groups because we know a little bit more about them than just like age and maybe
Mhm.
interests. Like we try to get a little deeper. But for brands with huge budgets, the medical industry and the investment industry, I see that a lot on, the Golf Channel. They'll,
Yeah.
they'll blast that message out a lot more broadly.
Absolutely. Wow. So the digital world is here to stay. So, what are some actionable tips for building practical, trust based marketing systems?
So a couple things that I think have existed, of course, for a long time, but are becoming more and more important right now with AI search, and that align with what you just described with trust signals, is AI search looks more closely at things like case studies, especially, if you're a B2B brand, or maybe, I mean, B2C works as well, and the recency and quality of your reviews. So if Google reviews or Yelp or whatever platform that you might have reviews, Google's always looked at that stuff, but we've seen that AI looks at, how many reviews you've gotten in and takes into account a little bit more the quality of the reviews. So they may, if you have a bunch of recent bad reviews, the AI might stop recommending you because they think, of course, that's a problem. So
Mhm.
we've just found we've always talked to clients about, building trust signals like that, but it feels like it's definitely become more important if you want to show up in the AI search world.
Yes, yes, yes. Because I use that the Google thing to get testimonials for
Yeah.
the podcast, and I try to make sure I respond within 48 hours. Things like that, and I try to make it personal to the interviewee because I had set up the AI thing to respond,
Yeah.
and I would have to teach it so much. So I just decided, you know what, this is too much teaching. I'm just going to go ahead because each person is different.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everybody I interview is totally different.
I heard someone describe, using AI and the training like you just described that requires you almost have to think of it as like you're bringing on an intern. And so if you think about it that way, it's like how much time do you want to spend training it? And, sometimes that's the right answer, but not always. So it's, again, that's that
Mm.
personalization. Of course, AI is trying to solve that too, but, I don't know. I think in some situations, I'm sure people have figured that out a little bit, but I think that's still one of the gaps in the AI world right now.
Yeah, yeah, because I'm personal. If I felt some kind of way within the interview, I want to put it in there. If you made me, you really brung it, I want to put it in there. So yeah, I played with that for a short period, and then I said, you know what, this is not going to work for me, at least not right now.
I think we talked about this the other day. Um, I'm trying to remember the exact like kind of quote or saying, but it basically boiled down to effectiveness versus efficiency, right? So AI is very efficient. Like if the only goal is to respond to reviews, like sure, it can do that, but is that most effective? And sometimes those are at odds, right? The most effective thing isn't usually probably isn't the most efficient thing.
Yes, you're right about that. So the companies that you typically work with, what industries?
Yeah, we've worked across a lot of industries over the last 15 years or so that we've been around. But I'd say one area we really shine is working with multi-location businesses. So people that serve like a local, uh, market, but
Mhm.
maybe have multiple markets. So everything as large as like Avis Car Rental we work with, and of course, all in North America. We help them thousands of different cities that they service. But we
Mhm.
also work with, maybe a law firm that's statewide and has, a few different offices throughout that market as well. So people that, and if your audience goes and searches for a city and a service, that's where we really shine.
Oh, okay, okay. So again, how do people connect with you?
Yeah, definitely checks out bigleap.com. And then always happy to continue chatting on LinkedIn and my newsletter up there on LinkedIn.
Absolutely. So you heard it, ladies and gentlemen. LinkedIn. I know I love LinkedIn, so that's one good spot. And Brian seems to be very interactive and willing to talk. So reach out because that marketing thing is critical for any type of business. Because if you don't let people know, then what they say, you're best kept secret and you're not making no money. Simple as that.
Great
So
way.
I appreciate you, Brian, for stopping by and sharing your wisdom and your company, Big Leap, right?
Right. Oh, I no, but happy to chat again or again on LinkedIn if you have questions. We're always just happy to give some advice and point you in the right direction. So please reach out and I appreciate the opportunity. I It was fun.
Absolutely. I enjoyed, and you dropped a lot of great nuggets. So I appreciate you taking time.
Yeah, of course.
And audience, I always love you as well. So thank you so much.